everyone, it's Morgan Yates, and today I am finally bringing you guys my five easy one-person meals for all of you guys who are in college or post-grad and living alone and basically just cooking for yourself most of the time. I'm gonna go in order of the absolute simplest up to the ones that are a little bit more complicated but are totally doable. Those just take a few more ingredients and a little bit more time, but I'm kind of giving you a spectrum. I feel like a lot of people set resolutions to cook more or cook healthier. Some of these are healthier than others. But yeah, feel free to keep commenting your resolutions below. Also comment below easy meal ideas that you make for yourself. One of these is especially winter inspired, and hope you guys enjoy this and find it helpful. If you guys make any of these, please be sure to tag me in stories or tweets or whatever so that I can see how you did. I'm also gonna have my Instagram linked below. My birthday is coming up soon, so if you wanna give me a gift, following me would be cool. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get into my 5-person meal ideas. Why am I saying that? Alright, so first up we are making a little cauliflower gnocchi or gnocchi, however you say that. Still pretty unaware. You need honestly just 2 ingredients, which is any kind of sauce and the cauliflower gnocchi and optional Parmesan cheese. How I do this is I've been cooking with avocado oil for a while now, and I just put like a little capful amount in a pan. Then I just pour out how much I'm wanting. I think this tastes great in terms of like cauliflower dupes. I don't really love cauliflower rice, but with this dish I actually really like the taste of it. So I just follow the instructions on the bag. You leave these for a few minutes and then kind of like flip them to a different side for a few more minutes, and then I just add in a little bit of my sauce directly to the pan to just stir around and coat it. I'm not a big tomato sauce gal, so you'll see I didn't add tons of sauce in the first place, just enough to give it a little bit of flavor. And then I toss that and pour it into my bowl. This is quite a messy presentation, but it tastes amazing. Then I just added some Parmesan cheese on top, totally optional, and that's a really, really fast, like 10-minute meal. Next up, I have showed this in vlogs and potentially in a what I eat in a day video before, I can't remember, but it is just this easy like fried rice, zucchini spiral vegan dish. This is the Japanese fried rice from Trader Joe's that has edamame and tofu in it. I just think this product has a really good flavor. However, of course, swap out any rice or any kind of anything you want to, because we're just making a little stir fry. And then you need some garlic, onion, mushrooms. You don't have to have all of these. They're just kind of for flavoring, and I just had mushrooms left over, as well as I have some green onions to put on top at the end. I start out in my pan with some avocado oil as well as some garlic. I add in my onion, and then I just cook up my aromatics. I think that's what those are called. I've been watching some cooking videos lately, until they become a little translucent and are nice and fragrant. And then I add in the mushrooms because those cook down pretty quickly. And I went ahead also while that was cooking and chopped up my green onion as a topping. And once they're looking like this, I go ahead and put in some of my zucchini spirals. You can buy a spiralizer on Amazon. I'll have one linked below that I own. So I typically just spiralize my own, but on this day Trader Joe's was out of zucchini, so I had to buy the spirals. Either one works. So I just pour about that much into the pan, and then I add in some of the fried rice as well. If you're wanting to get more protein in this or something, you can of course add in a meat. But yeah, I just think the flavors of this are really good. I find this to be very filling, getting lots of carbs, veggies, whatnot, and I just really love zucchini spirals. So this is what it looks like when it's done. I just make a nice bowl full. You could of course cook extra and then just have leftovers and reheat it, top it with green onions, and that is that. Next up, this is the one that is particularly winter inspired, and that is a nice hearty turkey chili recipe. Pretty certain that this is just the recipe on the back of the McCormick's chili seasoning packet. So you just need a pound of ground turkey, or if you don't want meat, you could add in like another bean variation or more like veggies or whatever. And for this, you just need a packet of chili seasoning, a can of kidney beans, diced tomatoes, and tomato sauce. Again, switch that out however you want to if you don't like that kind of bean or something. And then I just add in my ground turkey to the pan and just start breaking it up like so. This won't take too long, and once it gets nice and brown so I know it's cooked, I add in the chili seasoning and stir that around, and at that point it's time to add in the wet ingredients. So I pour in just the whole can of kidney beans, whole can of diced tomatoes. I thought about getting fresh tomatoes and cutting them up, but I didn't really know how many I need, / there are just certain recipes in life that I just don't feel like tweaking. If you know they're good, then we'll go for the can of tomatoes, you know what I mean? And then I add in my can of tomato sauce, And that is actually all that goes into this. It's the simplest recipe ever. I think this is the first thing I learned how to cook ever. And yeah, you just cook this up in a big pan until she is nice and ready to go. Again, you can kind of tell when you stick a fork into one of the beans and it's soft. And then for toppings, if you are feeling so inclined, I just had some Mexican cheese on hand as well as those green onions again. And if you're a sour cream girl, then I recommend swapping that for some just Greek yogurt. Although this is whole milk Greek yogurt, so I don't know if that's actually that much better than sour cream. I don't know. I feel like Greek yogurt is just generally better than sour cream. So once our chili's nice and finished, we are pouring some of that into a bowl, adding our little toppings in. This is making me starving right now. I could probably eat this every single day. And the good thing about this meal, I included this because it is so easy to make and delicious, but you're gonna have actually a good amount of leftovers. And yeah, it's just a good recipe. Next up, this one is getting into the more complicated territory, but it's really not. This is such a good healthy meal. We're making some seared salmon with a nice warm cruciferous salad, and then making a little Greek yogurt cucumber dill sauce, which sounds complicated. It is not. So first thing that we are doing in our pan is of course the avocado oil, plop in our salmon, and then we're seasoning our salmon. I just have some salt, pepper, garlic powder, really just whatever you want to put on it. And we're gonna leave that on the side that it's on for several minutes until you can see from the side that it's kind of like cooking almost up to like halfway through the salmon. And at that point, I'm gonna flip the salmon to the other side, and I'm not gonna do it before then because I don't want to mess up our nice little crispy sear we're gonna have going on. While that is cooking away, I am going to make our sauce. You're just gonna take, if your cucumber is as huge as the one I bought, just half of the cucumber, and then in a cheese grater, you're just going to grate off the whole side of your cucumber. And once you are finished with that, there's going to be a lot of extra water in there, so you can let it sit for a second. And then I just take paper towel and kind of like dab it to get the water out. And so once you've got a lot of that liquid out of the cucumber, I just take my Greek yogurt, pour it into a bowl, and then I add in all of that cucumber and go ahead and start mixing it up. And then the only other ingredients for this are some fresh dill. I add in the dill, stir around, and then to bring this from tasting like something that's not very good to something that tastes delicious, you're going to add lemon juice and then also just some salt. Salt is necessary. It does not taste good without it. Again, with the lemon juice, it doesn't taste good without it. Yeah, and this is kind of the final product. And this is what our salmon looks like once it's finished. So I'm gonna go ahead and plate that. And then with the oil that's left in there, I'm just pouring in a ton of that cruciferous veggie mix. This is like kale, shaved Brussels sprouts, and like radishes or cabbage or something maybe. I don't know. They sell it at Trader Joe's. And I just like to let it warm up and cook down slightly because I just think it tastes better since this is like not a salad. You could make this a salad. I don't know. What differentiates this from a salad? The fact that the salmon is beside the lettuce? I don't know. So once that's nice and warm and it's cooked down a little bit so that the kale is going to be more enjoyable to eat, I go ahead and plate that and then squeeze a little lemon juice on my salmon if you want, and then add in some of that sauce. I, in an ugly way, sprinkled that onto the lettuce and had a little extra on the side for the salmon, and it is so good. You guys have to trust me. I know it seems so random. If you want to make something that's delicious and seems really impressive, this is the thing to make. And lastly, this is kind of the most complicated one, but only because it involves the most like separate cooking steps, I guess, but you guys will see how easy this is. And again, this is something that can make a ton of leftovers if you choose to do it that way. So these are my Mexican quinoa bowls. All you need is some quinoa, taco seasoning, or you could use your own spices, some fresh peppers and onion, and then a can of corn and a can of black beans. Topping wise, again, I have the same thing as I did for the chili. Also, I do have a head of iceberg lettuce over here, as well as a red pepper, in case instead of serving this in a bowl, you want to pop it in some lettuce taco wraps. And then I'll show you an option for the red pepper at the end. First up, you're gonna need a couple pans here. We have a pot going where I just pour the black beans and the can of corn in there, and those are just gonna cook on their own. Just leave them over there. Then in my pan with avocado oil, I'm adding a considerable amount of onion as well as red pepper and jalapeno. And then I'm just gonna stir those every now and then, and they're gonna cook down over time. So again, this isn't like a high maintenance thing that you're gonna have to be tending to. And then in our final pot, I'm just adding some quinoa. So however much you're adding, I think I did a cup. It's just a 2-to-1 water to quinoa ratio. Then I just stir that around until it starts to simmer like so. And then you're just gonna put a lid on it and keep checking back to see when all of the water is gone. Everything has now cooked up. Those veggies are looking great. And when the quinoa is done, I'm going to take this taco seasoning packet And I don't pour the whole thing, but depending on like how spicy you're wanting it to be, so just add however much you want. You can always sprinkle more taco seasoning directly into your bowl. So to serve these up and make a base layer of the taco seasoned quinoa, add in a nice amount of the black beans and corn, and then I add in my veggies. Then optional again, I'm not really buying dairy in 2019, at least so far, and I didn't often last year, but when I was filming this video idea, I was on a real cheese kick, if you can't tell so, and it's so good. Also, a quick leftover life hack that I found is to half a red pepper and then to go ahead and mix up the mix the same way you kind of just did in your bowl. Like everything's already mixed together. If you're gonna want cheese in it, go ahead and add your cheese or Greek yogurt or whatever. Mix everything together and then stuff your peppers. And then those make for great leftovers that are just like a little bit different than the original dish to keep things seeming fun. And then with the rest of the mix that didn't fit in those peppers that I had left over, I put everything together again. Just put it in a little Tupperware container to go in the fridge, and that is it.